other big tanky picks for the solo lanes were picked prior to that.
This would be Jungle Gragas, very likely. Khan has played it in the top side, but they already have the Rakan, so we know it will not be a support Gragas. And look at this, a last-second flex. This is a jungle Elise they're being considered here. Now, for a Freak of Freaks, I actually wondered if Vladimir would be the lock-in here because they already have Camille Aatrox and they have a Wombo comp already. Vladimir, if you can get through laning phase, is great, but there's no Vlad Tahm Kench option. So you wonder how you can get away with a Vladimir against Xayah Rakan. They're really considering a lot of different ideas, Freak of Freaks. Marksman will be the more reliable choice because the laning phase could be tricky. They will finally settle on the Sivir. Unlikely to find a support that makes this lane too easy. You can consider the Braum to try to halt the Feathers. The Alistar will be the riskier choice, and the Alistar for just the god comp of Engage on the side of Afrika. Sivir starts shouting, and everyone else is clamoring to go for hard Engage.
Gonna be a fun one there for Jelly. He didn't look too confident about the pick.
Hey!
Oh, baby! Okay, Fiora comes out here into the lineup, and you could look at that for the top lane, but Fiora versus Galio, also a thing we've seen before. We'll see where these picks line up.
And every SKT fan would have been clamoring for Khan to return to one of his two legendary carry champions. They are Jace and Fiora. His Fiora God status was locked in for Longzhu Gaming. Will this be the matchup, Fiora versus Aatrox? First time I would have seen this match in professional play. Like you say, they have till 20 seconds, and Fiora versus Galio has been a pretty traditional mid lane matchup in the past. We won't see it here. It will be much more the comfort for Khan. Very excited to track this on the top side, and also two ganking junglers will probably be hightailing their way top side to try to impact a carry versus carry matchup.
Fiora definitely one of those champions that feels a lot better if you can get ahead early on in the game. Fiora's from behind struggle to find really any lane pressure to go for that split push, but oh boy, you take a look at this composition. It's balls to the wall. You're not going back with this kind of comp.
If they get a control ward advantage and you walk in front of anyone, at best, Sivir's shouting. At worst, 5 people are on top of your model, instant killing you. So much lockdown. However, what did SKT take from that? Fiora, that's not a grouping champion, that's a splitting champion. That hasn't been the impact so far of Khan on SK Telecom T1. They want some King Zone and Longzhu Khan in game number 1 of this series.
Well, guys, it is time. Game number 1 of Afrika versus SKT begins now. Afrika always had a pretty strong fan base, but here in Korea, nothing really stands up to SKT.
Loving the skin choice right there.
Yeah.
SK Telecom T1 Elise being worn by Clit. He didn't earn that skin, but he's on SKT, so you get to wear the stripes when you have made it and picked up the jersey. Amy's got some pizzas. He's happy to throw out. We're talking about pizzas a lot in our first series, but not quite as literally as with pizza delivery of Sivir. And you'll know, Valdez, that I'm a really big fan of Sivir right now. The laning phase against Xayah Rakan is actually pretty tricky. The timings on your spell shields aren't always clear, and the feather interaction with the spell shield can be irritating. But Sivir's buff was way bigger than people give it credit for. The ability to hit 5 members of the enemy team for equal damage has propelled Ezreal's ult way up to god tier status, and the same is true for what Sivir can do with her Q. The 600 CS win condition is there, but the early game hits harder than ever before.
Really does. We've seen some nice Sivir plays so far, especially with the spell shield timing. I think that was Zenit on the side of KT. He was just right on the ball with those spell shield timings. We'll see if aiming can live up to that, as it was pretty impressive, but can't wait to see Clid on Elise against Dread on the Camille. Definitely a couple of champions that can get really aggressive here in this matchup.
Only real issue with Elise in this meta, and one of the reasons why she was phased out is not necessarily direct nerfs or item reasons, but the game went from level 3 ganks being the god tier to level 2 ganks, and that is the one area where Elise does fall away. She is very much level 3 centric compared to Camille, who just like Pantheon is ready to go at level 2. But now at least we haven't seen too many level 2 cheese ganks be pulled off. Dread's top side, but he's spotted. They started on the opposite sides of the map, so the jungle pathing between two very aggressive junglers is going to be a treat to follow.
Dread spotted on a ward, spotted by the Ghost Poro, and it looks like he knows that because of the Poro. He's just going to go ahead and take the Krugs away on the top side of the map. Seems like they have a decent read about where Klid is as well. He's just down here going for his own scuttle, so they're going to trade them in the early game at least.
Does feel like the blue side vision has been to guarantee camps to the Camille, whereas the red side vision's been to spot. So they've actually been, for different reasons, a information advantage to SKT in the early game. Not going to be wielded just yet by Klid, but he won't be surprised to see that his Raptor camp's going to be, at best, a little bit less chickens than he's used to.
Unfortunate timing for him, actually. The Galio pushing in the Urgot in the mid lane. Yukal versus Faker in this matchup. Klid just going to clean up as many of the Raptors as possible, as you were talking about. Also, all the Krugs weren't taken. You can see that dot is left remaining up in the top side, so also a little bit annoying for the side of Klid. Dread living up to his name, getting aggro, already counter-jungling quite a bit.
Early game, not going to be where this lane is going to shine for the Fiora, so understandably going to be kind of left to the whims of Keen. In terms of where the priorities are at, definitely top and mid early game, I would give the advantage to Afrika, and Camille's jungling around her strong side, so that part you can definitely understand. Bot lane is the strong side for Klid, so for now at least, it seems like the junglers are observing the tendencies of the Dross they've locked in.
Klid, interesting path, starts red, comes down, takes Scuttle, cleans up Raptors, and then makes her way all the way down to the bottom lane. There is a ward in the brush.
A fresh ward as well. It was just placed because they know that Klid is playing bot side. Nicely done by, I'm going to assume it was aiming, but not 100% clear on that.
Looks like it. It's on cooldown. A team decision. Got to put down those wards. Backing on it right now is Mata, so feels like they're just memeing a little bit right now, but we'll see if Afrika lets them go. Looks like they will.
It's actually a really good move because if you suspect there is a ward there, remember Zyra can't have that dual recall possibility, so it's a very easy way to force the enemy's hand. They can't know for sure the ward was there because there was no reaction at all from Jelly and aiming. So now they can keep the ward there for the maximum duration, and there was no tell to the side of SKT that there is a lane ward from Afrika.
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, Sivir, famously very fast at pushing, is able to deny nearly an entire wave down on the bottom side to Teddy and Mata, who just now make it back to the lane.
Seeing for now at least Dread. He's chilling, waiting for the Rift Scuttle to spawn. Top side, happy side for him.
Aggressive control ward placement. It's a brush that doesn't always get checked, so it can be a little bit tricky. You can get that down relatively early. And looks like Klid isn't even going to go into the Scuttle Crab location right now. Perhaps doesn't feel comfortable enough. Is just heading up towards the Krugs for now.
No next levels just yet. It's all been pretty calculated so far. Junglers playing on their strong sides. No one really veering into dangerous territory. The junglers have kind of been ships in the night outside of, meeting at the enemy Raptor camp there that Klid found Dread with his hand in the cookie jar a bit. But no successful ganks for the Camille just yet. She definitely has the earlier ability to impact the lanes. Let's see how Afrika planned to play around the bot side, because Camille Galio is the reliable engage, and sending everyone bot lane is always something you want to do with a Galio.
That you do, but at least the Zyra, once they hit level 6, can be tricky to get on top of and gank, especially that Teddy does have heal. We saw that be a factor in the first matchup with Peanut going too deep onto a Kalista with heal and not able to pick up the kill. So we'll see if SKT can play around that kind of bottom lane party gank.
And one thing we'll learn from this is where SKT's communication is at, because that's been the one thing we've wanted the most, right? Who's the shot caller? Who's doing the dominant voice? When they've been interviewed and asked about it, they say, oh, it's some pretty diplomatic shot calling. And when you're winning, diplomatic shot calling is usually fine, right? Just in general, when you're winning, shot calling is a little bit less under the microscope. The reason why I say in this game shot calling is important is not so much that Afrika Freaks are predicted to be a strong team. It's not even paying lip service to how good Afrika was in the past. It's the unique variable SKT have is that just the E is a bit short there from Faker, but think about how SKT win this game. It's largely around the split push. It's largely around Fiora in the 1 and the 4 of SKT not being engaged upon by a cavalcade of hard engage on the side of Afrika Freaks.
Whoa.
Cleared and Dread.
That was a close one. Feels like both these junglers really hanging around mid for large periods of time, just waiting for ganks that they expect could happen, but no one has really found each other until that moment where the Cocoon goes wide onto the Camille. Camille level 6 before the Elise, and now he's getting aggressive with red buff here, trying to get the smite, and it looks like Klid just going to give it away.
Exactly as Yukal was in range as well. He'd already dodged the laning phase, pushed into Faker, and guaranteed he would have first rotation. So very good communication there between Dread and his new mid laner in Yukal. But again, coming back to where this game is going, no one can be caught. Speaking of getting caught.
There's the flash, and Faker in a ton of trouble right now. The easy first blood goes the way of Dread. Clean Camille gank for the first blood.
And Valdez, it's so reliable. So many different ways to engage like that. Communication will have to be pristine. Or in the late game, one pick might thwart any split push from Khan.
I mean, Faker not even going to blow any of his summoners. He knew he was dead. The second the Camille lands that one, he had to flash first. Otherwise, he was pretty much boned. And even then, might have been a kill. So nice little play there by Afrika.
When's the right time to flash against Camille Galio? Before, to be hell away from them is kind of the only good answer there.
It's now.
Exactly. Could have tried flashing then. I think he still would have died. So
probably
really good, no good time to flash. He goes down anyway. Good gank from Afrika. Took a bit of time, but you see the coaching team there of 4, Vinyl Cat, Yon, Nofe, and head coach I Love Ove all understand that that's exactly the sort of practice they put in. It comes up on the stage to first blood.
Klid here in the top side. It looks like Keen has a good idea that something's up, especially because Khan is trying to bait him into a fight right now. And so Klid's gank not going to come off here just yet. He's been waiting for quite a while.
Isn't it fun that Afrika versus SKT, as things stand, is also a bit of a clash of ideologies? We'll hold the point for a bit as Klid is so desperate to make this gank work, but not been able to find anything so far.
It's hard, too, because they don't really have secure vision up in the top side. Control ward here by Keen. They don't know exactly where Camille is, whereas Afrika seemed to have the perfect read that he is up in that brush. So,
and that read is founded on practice. Again, the reason why I say clash of ideology is SKT have gone for the big names. They are a team that streams a lot. They have a big streaming contract, you know, the money and the prestige that all brings. Afrika doesn't scream and hides everything. So no scrims. So no public information at all, but here in the mid.
Oh boy, it's time to trade to kill as Galio is going to be put into death chamber by the Urgot. Nice follow-up play there by Faker and Klid to win a kill back to their team.
And still were able to play around the tendencies of Yukal of the past. Nicely done in the mid lane there, and it means 1-1 between these two squads. It could translate into a Drake. Remember, Elise always going to be pretty expedient in making that one happen, and aiming and Jelly, when it comes to early priority, are the weakness of this Afrika draft.
Seems to be that way. Up on the top side, we return to Keen versus Khan. Another one of these highlight matchups that we were looking at so far. No kills there just yet. Very even on farm as well. So looking good for both of them so far. Cloud Drake picked up here for the side of SKT. Good to deny that, I suppose, up against Afrika's full engage comp.
And if you ask me right now, whose position in the game am I liking more, I'd definitely say SKT's, because Fiora is going CS for CS with the Aatrox, and eventually will be a level 16 Fiora, and we all know how that goes. Really nice execution on the mid lane gank, just as on point as the one we saw from Afrika moments before. But that's the current game state. Fiora is doing better than expected, and the game otherwise is largely even. It's all about mid-game execution in this game. The catch versus the ability to play 3 lanes, and honestly, just play the Fiora lane. If you wield Fiora to its full extent, SK Telecom T1 should win. If you use the engage on Afrika's side to the full extent, Afrika should win. And it's always these games where you have very differing goals that I enjoy the most, because it's so clear at every moment, after about 25 minutes, who's ahead and who's behind.
Certainly very cool. And the Rift Herald's here picked up by Afrika. Nice little win for the side of Dread, able to start that one up. I suppose they knew that Klid was going to head back, and he was in the base while that was all happening. So even if they did have vision, probably not much that SKT could do to follow up on that one.
Mata's had a very long leash because of the Zyrakan advantage to get very deep vision onto, say, for example, the red buff. You can see Camille lit up at the moment. CDR boots the rush here. More grand entrances, more ability to look for that pick CC. Rakan's already squishy, and getting a Ninja Tarby or a Mercs isn't going to change it.
He'd need a lot more items to, be a tanky support. Not really what he's about. We'll see if the follow-up on his engages can be there. Decent amount of follow-up, I'd say, with the Elise Urgot, but outside of that, not too much.
Can Fiora get away with first a scaling champion and then a scaling item purchase in a pretty late cull picked up by Khan? We already laid the table setting on where we thought this matchup was going, and the cull picked up around 10 minutes is a double down on that. Khan is looking for the late game. Afrika have overwhelming ability to burst in the mid game. Mid-game starts about now, Valdez, and that's why every time Galio leaves lane, everyone on SKT's side gets the hell out.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about it in the early game. It's Galio Camille. You have that engage with Alistar in the bottom side. Look at the red side jungle of Afrika. It's lit up like a Christmas tree by SKT, playing very safe around that, making sure they don't get ganked. But how about a Rift Herald for some extra gold in the mid side? At least both Klid and Mata are there to not allow them to get any more than just a couple of plates.
That trade looked pretty good for the side of Khan as well. So Fiora doing way better than expected. It is Grasp Fiora, if you guys are going to move your attention to the top right of the screen. So ability to take bone plating or some extra sustain options has allowed him to do very competitively in this lane. So that's the learning for me here, is that Fiora is able to go CS for CS with a top lane Aatrox. Wonder if we'll see more of it, or if it's just a specialist's choice for Khan.
I mean, you think about it, you have the riposte to deal with all of his stuns that Aatrox has in his kit, and you're ice skating, right, away from all of his AoE abilities essentially, and the lockdown. So
if we weren't casting, I'd slap you, Valdez, because you have a riposte for a million different types of annoying CCs, knockbacks, knockups. Aatrox is really damn annoying to deal with. I don't think the single riposte should be enough. So I think this is more about execution by Khan, who so far has been playing this damn clean.
Yeah, he looks good. You can certainly dodge a lot of Aatrox stuff. He's made it look pretty easy so far. Went for the early Ninja Tabi as well. You need that movement speed to deal with that kind of champion, so feeling pretty good. That one ward that Dread keeps getting spotted on means that Faker has been pretty safe afterwards.
I'm going to say the vision in general. We liked it at level 1, spotting out the enemy jungler, and a lot of spotting. They continue spotting now.
Nice cocoon here. Should be flipped over the back. Flash is here for you, Cal. Gets the stun into the combo. Doesn't even bother to get that one down, and Faker able to land it. Gets the kill to Galio.
And Matt, wards can turn to so much. The wards in the early game allowed Elise to stay away, and 2 kills now on the mid lane through really good synergy between Klid and Faker. This is good to see, but here we go.
Well, they spot them coming in, aiming, taking a ton of damage, has to flash away from that one. Mata makes his way in with the grand entrance from downtown, and Dread in so much trouble now is going to be taken up. Nice follow-up cocoon here onto Jelly. Doesn't look like they'll be able to get much, but SKT so much room on the map. Even Teddy's pushing the bottom lane.
Exactly. This game's going to hell in a handbag so quickly here. They tried to make an aggressive pick, but the moment that the Boomerang Blade missed, they weren't going to have enough damage to turn. All of SKT is backing up their mid lane jungle duo. A Drake, turret damage, all to the benefit of SKT.
Everything feels good. Mid lane, a couple of very important ganks by Klid here onto UCal. Bottom lane, because of that rotation, able to get a big win. They take out the first turret down there, and the second Drake as well. And then the top lane we were mentioning, Khan just winning that lane. It feels going very even on that Fiora who wants to scale.
This deep ward that you see UCal now pathing over spotted Camille a moment earlier. That helped Faker not die. And then also was the reason this kill was academic for the duo of Faker and Klid. Really intelligently played. This is the crafty veterancy we want to see from a squad like SKT's. So many other big names have been on the losing side in LCK Spring so far. But you can see the in and out of game practice has been pretty on point by the side of SKT. And now we get to the worrying side of the coin for Afrika. Remember, all those kills came in while the Galio ult and the Camille ult were available. if you fall far enough behind in gold, and right now they're not behind in gold, but there's the potential for that to grow at this point in the game with some outer turrets down, then maybe the Wombo doesn't kill people and Fiora is split pushing, and that's where you just straight up lose the game if you're a Freak of Freaks.
I said it in the beginning, Fiora feels a lot better when you're winning the game, and already going even feels like winning the lane. And you can see that even Keen isn't confident enough to even fight over the Krugs. I mean, Khan is just owning him in that sense, and now he's got a red buff. So what can you really do? Keen seemingly having a very hard time in this lane. Love bringing back the Fiora for what would be a very hard lane. We're going to have a big engage, though, trying to get on top of Mata. The Blasting Plant, though, knocks Dread out of the Hextech Ultimatum, which gives him the room to get out. That is huge to keep them safe as turrets go down on the other side.
All calculated for SKT, and meanwhile, Afrika are all at sea. They're trying to turn on to Faker, but I don't know if this is the right call.
Dread, he is so squishy as well. He has that stopwatch, which is going to save him, but Faker and Mata going 2v4, going to win the fight.
Meanwhile, Khan's under the inhibitor turret at 18 minutes.
There's that one riposte in the grand entrance. He is going to go in and hop his way out. Doesn't want to overcommit underneath the turret, but you can see how this Fiora matchup is just looking so good.
It only gets better and better, and that's not even with the Cull cashed in. The Ching is going to be massive the moment he has that. Speaking of Ching, Teddy pushing up, getting damage onto this outer turret in top. Everything's coming up SKT in the first 19 minutes.
Dream Team looking good so far. We'll see if they can keep it up here. It still is only 4 kills in 19 minutes, but there has been so much other action that puts SKT in the driver's seat for this one. That Camille Galio combo, we saw it a couple of times, and honestly, it's not doing much work for Afrika so far.
A lot of our long-term viewers will remember how we talked about TF Ultimate in the metas, where TF was really powerful. It's how good is the first Destiny. If you mess that one up, maybe the next one doesn't matter. The Camille Galio duo of ults is pretty much the same, right? Very long cooldown, but the most guaranteed impact. You're showing up with 2 people with good burst damage. 9.1 Galio, he blows people away and then some. But if it's just not being used because the timings are not there, because the warding has been so on point by SKT and so deep, they've never actually found the chance to wield all their wombo combos, and both in the skirmishes, which haven't been dominated by Camille Galio, and also in the 1v1 by Khan, everything's come up SKT, and now maybe it doesn't matter if they find the picture-perfect Galio engage.
20 minutes ticks, and SKT already setting up vision around the Baron. It looks like 2 or even 3 control wards already are down, just to make sure that Faker can push down this top turret, as well as begin to pressure in there. The Xayah Elise combination, pretty decent at taking out that Baron, pretty fast at least.
3 winning lanes in CS. Things looking good for SKT. They control the pace of this game, but will we see a desperate engage? Because it already feels like the next one from Afrika might be necessitated in the next 2 to 3 minutes.
Jelly forced ultimate, just a bit of a wonky positioning there. Shouldn't have even been in range, but get hit by Cocoon. Has to ultimate and now go back with a recall. So even more map pressure given over to SKT with 1 swift move.
This is Jelly, the man who stood behind Tucson for all of 2018 and 2017, finally making that big starting spot onto Afrika. Always awkward when you're in an Alistar game and you're unsure if it's time to headbutt, pulverize, or disengage. Ends up just wasting his ultimate with no gain at all. The Sivir Alistar lane, the lack of control there, is one of the contributing factors to Afrika really feeling like they're being pulled in every direction and not finding any wins in any of them.
Yeah, nothing really going right for them. At least the Camille hasn't died so many times, only once in this game. Really just has been the more effective ganks in the mid side by Clid. The first one, super clean, gets the first blood over to Dread. But after that, it was all the Clid Faker show to win that lane. And how about a 3rd Drake, a 2nd Mountain Drake as well, to just speed up that Baron to even higher highs. SKT going to be pretty happy with that.
Would love to go back and do a VOD review of the early game warding. To me, the warding in this game was the real MVP, because they anticipated so much based on no information. They didn't even know the tendencies of Afrika. No one can. They show nothing when it comes to public information, but they both read the draft of the enemy team and just had a very next level read on the game, because the safety by which they've been able to open up this goal lead is what should be commended. This hasn't been explosive. It's been calculated.
Clean stuff from the beginning, other than just the one death in the mid lane, which was pretty unavoidable for the situation that he was in. It's been really clean stuff from the side of SKT. Definitely good news for them after they did go down to Dom1 Gaming in the Kespa Cup. A couple of eyebrows were raised and saying, hey, what's this about? I thought they were the dream team. I thought they were going to win Kespa Cup, maybe face Griffin in the finals, and then that would be, you know, a close matchup. But go down to Dom1 Gaming. But they'll be happy to say that they look much better here so far for their first couple of matches of LCK.
And the biggest data point for me is it's with Khan on a carry. It's with Khan not on Urgot Lissandra kind of duty. It's very much on, again, he's even away from the rise. He's on something that can attack lane and scales well. Dread dives in, doesn't find anyone. Hookshot on cooldown.
Righteous Glory by Faker. They want blood as Dread even has to flash away from that one after hookshotting really deep into the Baron pit. Gets away, but loses a lot.
The items are there now for the Fiora. Trinity Force and Ravenous Hydra are completed. Very, very difficult. Maybe impossible for Keen to outplay the Fiora. She's also about to crest level 16, and the ult scaling is going to be relevant there as well. So right now, everything is coming up SKT. They are in a wonderful position in this game. Now, they've been in a similar position and lost. You'll remember the game where Mata was everywhere on the Alistair, and they felt like they had an unassailable lead and went on to lose against Dom1 Gaming. This time, it feels like they're a lot more on point, especially with their macro plays and their rotations. So SKT fans will hope history doesn't repeat itself there. They have so many different things they can do. They send Fiora bot. The question is, how the hell do we deal with this Fiora? They get the deep vision down. SKT don't have any worries about being hit by a wombo combo. So in so many different ways, they should be able to trade up. Anything less than extra turrets or a Baron is probably a misfire based on the game state right now if you freeze it at 24-30.
Perhaps they needed more pressure in the top side to shut down this Fiora, because you were mentioning that call that came in late. It's part of the reason why very far ahead in gold now is Khan and feeling pretty good. Jelly now looking for an engage in the zero vision jungle for Afrika. They're really struggling to find anything here.
One of the few comps we've seen that can actually use sweep as well. They have an Elise who's very elusive. Faker is unkillable. Rakan can jump over walls. They can actually clear vision better than most comps on this patch. Is under turret. Seems like Khan misjudged that one. Don't worry, guys. He's got Ravenous Hydra. Next minute.
Oh, there it is. Mata finds two. The Galio comes in, but Alistair goes down first, and they're looking for Dread as well. Keen and Khan both TPing in, but already two members of Afrika are down. Ucal trying to do his best to fight up against Khan. Goes for the flash here on a Faker. But it's not going to go too well as Keen is going to be burst down. Could even be an ace, only aiming with no room to even DPS is left alive as SKT take out 4.
4 kills for 0, no deaths at all. SKT play that perfectly. Like we mentioned, with their sweepers, they can clear vision and actually make a proactive pick at 24 minutes around inner turret territory in mid. They have a lot of Baron damage, but a lot of squishies here. They'll trade tank it down. They'll get the Baron, and SKT open up a huge lead in game number 1.
Wow, and now you got Khan on
no.
Fiora with Baron, and unbelievable pockets filled with gold right now. He hasn't even gone back and bought right now. He's probably going to pick up a third full item when he does. Let's take another look at the fight, though.
Watch the replay here. It's all about the assertive picks you can make when you have a control ward lead. The deep teleport in the mid lane is always going to be turned upon by 2+ members. They just kill the closest target. Everything lines up for SKT, and now in the 1, in the 5, in the catch, SKT have nothing to worry about. They have what feels like an unassailable lead in game number 1.
Khan even joining for this team fight. It was half over by the time the top laners even got there, so feels much better for Fiora in that sense.
Grouping Fiora is either the game is over or the game is over, and this is definitely the latter, as this is the joyful time to queue up, do about 1,000 damage, and watch your Xayah. There's just no threat onto her because, unfortunately, people are exploding in front of the SKT duo lane.
Third Mountain Drake means that Fiora is basically untouchable. Feels unfortunate to say, but definitely has the feeling that SKT have this one in the bag. But more importantly, just how clean it was. A lot of people talking about how good Afrika is right now based on what they've heard. But in the first game here, SKT have certainly outplayed them to a great effect.
What we've seen from SKT was one single style they played a lot of times, and you never know how to apply Occam's razor to that. Are they playing it because they think it's the strongest, or are they playing it because that's all they can play? And people, depending on whether you're a fan or a hater, will always look at it one way or the other. That's why I like to see it and say, yes, in 2019, Khan can still load up on the hard carries and make it work. We weren't sure. He's been very out of sorts for the better part of 6 months. Baker chases in. He wants Jelly.
Yeah, Jelly, kind of unfortunate right now, is going to have to ultimate after the Fear Beyond Death does land onto him, and nobody wants to go near Khan.
Nope.
Triple Mountain Drake. See you later, turret. As a couple of them will go down here. Khan and the rest of SKT pushing for that win.
And when does Khan start seeing 3 bad guys and trying to outplay? That's going to be the icing on the cake, as there's the Sivir ult.
Well, they got to make something happen, and they want Faker. He's so tanky, though. Keen just pops almost there on the backside. Jelly as well, super low. And Khan into the backside onto Dread. He's super low, but it doesn't matter. Double kill goes to Faker as Afrika fall apart like a house of cards. And SKT going to easily take the victory here in about 28.5 minutes.
This is going to be a slaughter from the side of SKT. Excellent performance from them from level 1, from the smart wards they put down. The vision led the way, the players did the rest, and well-deserved victors in our first game of the series.
Mop the floor with them in game number 1, and the hype is real. We're all filled up here at the LOL Park. Lots of SKT fans going to be ecstatic.